We need some clearing today, folks. All year. So there's a lot coming up. I'm sure we can all feel it. That feeling of the other shoe just ready to drop. Well, Uranus just went direct a couple days ago. And that's when everything starts rushing forward in terms of changes and possibilities. And we have that backup that has things gathering. Hey, Lost Stage. Hey, King Capricorn. And then when things go forward, that's when, with Uranus, all hell can break loose. It's changes. It's dismantling. It's clearing the field. So a couple of days ago, on the 3rd, we had this release point, this inflection point come in, and it's building. It does have a big conflict that does arrive within it on the 17th. So we have the 13th coming up here, Saturn entering Aries. We just had Uranus going direct. I'm looking at all my notes here because there's so many. There's a lot of things. Look at, there's a lot of things. There is not just like one or two things. These are things that have been accumulating for over 4,000 years. And astrology is the study of cycles within cycles. Hey, Regine. So we have a cycle we haven't seen before coming up really, really quickly here. Saturn and Neptune are conjunct exactly in just a few days. And then on the day of the 17th, and we have the new moon solar eclipse at 28 degrees Aquarius, conjunct to the United States moon in Aquarius at 26 degrees. Of course. It's an exact conjunction between these two in Aries, the beginning of everything. So we've had the end of an era outgoing with Saturn and Neptune together in Pisces, and then we have this incoming new building process. We typically do see a proving ground when Saturn comes into Capricorn. And with Neptune there, it's a confession. Every head will bow and every tongue will confess. It's a collective reckoning that's happening. And all of us have a part to play. Some of us, our part is purging, changing, controlling ourselves. Some of us, our part is standing up for ourselves, making sure that those who don't control themselves never have access and that they don't get away with things. So everybody has a part. And those who receive abuse and allow their sovereignty and their boundaries to be violated are needing extra protection. And the only way we get that is by aligning with our conscience, which if we've been unaligned with it, that's why we need protection. We haven't been acting in accordance with the protection of our own honest, authentic, healed, clear knowing. Because when you live authentically, you keep everything out that's shameful. You keep everything out that could hurt you. You just don't let that in. It doesn't have access. That's what toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, because we're purging both, that's what it has to have, access, in order to be able to find its way inside. Oh, Vinay, don't you even show up here with your Mercury Pluto and start spewing truth about me. Oh, you Pluto people, you see everything. Yes, I am choosing my words carefully. It is a time to be deliberate. Our lack of deliberation is what's got us in this position. Our lack of watching ourselves, a lack of knowing ourselves, a lack of deliberate, mindful, strategic action. We're in trouble because we've been acting in accordance with our desires and with our lower impulses. And what we'll come to see is that, yeah, there's a lot of evil out there. A lot of it. And it wants you to believe that that's all there is. So you'll give up and say, well, we'll just be like that. We'll just sink into the void and become cannon fodder. But there's so many good, cleared people, real people. You're not supposed to focus on that. But so many of us are clearing, confessing, going through a really uncomfortable ego death. Okay, ego death that you've been sold by, modern philosophy feels good. That feels good. That happens in front of people. There's people there to applaud you and to advertise that you've gone through this process. No, sorry. That's not how it happens. That's performative. Real shedding of shame happens privately. And the only way that you have to prove it is with your countenance and with your behavior and your consistent actions. That's how we know it. Because what is happening right now is we're seeing the difference between what's being said and what's being done. And this is a major point of cognitive dissonance. So we have a major identity crisis that's sweeping the globe. It's been happening for about 10 years, but it's sweeping the globe. There is no place that's untouched because these are outer planets. Nobody gets out alive when it's Pluto. Our old selves are ending. And that's good because they weren't serving us. Our old selves were not serving us. They were serving something outside of ourselves. And when we realize that, oh my God, we have so much power, all we have to do is be in tune with our conscience, and then nothing out of sorts or that doesn't fit gets in. We can look at it. We can be in the vicinity of things and people and check them out and get a real sense. We can do our due diligence. But you don't remain. We remained before, as we didn't know the difference. but we're coming to see the difference between things. That's what the truth does. It cuts through the crap. When you become plain, the world and other people also become plain. And it's such a paradox. Because it's a complex person that's plain. I know. This has to come in long video format, which I will be putting over on Substack. Because I touch the surface here on YouTube, but I also have to be careful. And I'm tired of it. I want to be more real. I want to be in a place where I don't have to worry about being myself. And this has been a collective thing that all of us have been coming to, getting real sick and tired of ourselves. I'm real sick and tired of others who wear masks and do whatever they want behind those masks. So we remove our own when we choose ourselves. We don't wait for somebody else to rip it off our face. You remove it yourself and you show the fuck up. And if you've done things wrong, you pay for that by admitting and fixing what you can, the things that you can't. You never, ever go there again. Some things we can't fix. Some things we can't apologize for. Some things we can't make up for. The window's closed, or it's just not possible. So we don't do it again. That's how we pay. We don't do it again. Even if we want to. That's half change. Wanting to, but not letting yourself, because you know what you're capable of. But real, true, down to the soles of your feet change is not even wanting that. You don't even have the desire. Because you understand where that desire comes from, what it says about you. And you know that you don't want to be that. Even if there's others around you that will support you. You just can't do it. You're not part of the cool club when you do your alchemy. You're just not. Because you'll see things, you'll be around things, you'll be exposed to things that aren't in tune with your conscience, and you will take yourself out of the game. And that is not cool. So this is a massive month for us. A month of massive change and a lot of discomfort. Myself, I've been really struggling. You know, a few of my heroes have been revealed. They're not what I thought they were. That's rough. That's betrayal trauma. We're all experiencing betrayal trauma right now. And it makes you question everything. It's no different than being cheated on or believing in somebody and then finding out what's real about them. It makes you question everything. Well, if you said that and you told me this and you showed up as this, but then you did that, what can I believe about you? Anything? And it's rough when you think you know stuff and when you think you're clear. You think that you can, you got people figured out, and then you find out more. It doesn't just mess with your attachment system, it messes with your ability to trust yourself. Because you're like, I thought I had better senses. I thought I knew more. I thought I was better. But I let it in, or I followed it, or I believed it. And this is where we have to hold nuance in our minds. Because we want to go into black and white thinking. We're being pushed into black and white thinking, which leads to very bad things that are not in our personal best interest. So we have to understand that people come in shades of gray. We certainly come in shades of gray. Some people who are beyond conscience are black and white. It's very easy to tell. They've lost the capacity for detail and nuance. And that's why they only see winners and losers, friends and enemies. Saints and sinners. We've all got some of both in us. Some have more of one color energy than others. And when we see it, we have to accept it. That's been really hard for me. There's a few people that I really thought knew stuff. It turns out they do, but they're performative. So I can't really trust it. So it's a big eye-opening about how power really works that we're coming to. And a lot of the things that we thought weren't real, they are. The paradigms that we've lived by, the truths, the institutional truths that we've been taught to believe and guide ourselves by, they were never in our best interest. And so we don't know what's real for a while because we are having an identity crisis. It happens when you experience a deep betrayal. You don't know what's real until you orient yourself again, and that can take months to years. And so we need to do reality testing with each other, someone that you trust, someone that you know through their behavior is a real and true, probably nuanced and flawed person, but they try. That's the difference. There's some that don't try because they only believe in decadence. That is their value. And so we're coming to a place in the age of Aquarius where we have abundance and we also have humility side by side. That's how we get to check ourselves. Because we realize, you know what? It's not in anybody's best interest. If any of us are allowed to go, girls gone wild, or boys gone wild. It's not in anybody's best interest. So as we learn about real power, how it works, our own power is coming up with that. See, you can't learn and internalize, understand external power if you don't really get your own internal power. You get bits and pieces about how things work out here, but it won't actually make real sense until you realize your own soft power. This is what the Divine Feminine has been learning since those first years with Pluto and Capricorn. How do you use your power through discernment, self-control, emotional mastery? And now we have the Divine Masculines coming in droves, getting it, seeing it, wanting something real. Just a second, guys, I have to yell. Teddy, I'm still here. I'm still here. Sorry, he gets emotional. So this is one of the months that we will look back in history and we will remember. We will be talking about this year, this period of time, this particular month, for a long time. Because this is when we really got it. Joelle, that is exactly right. Self-forgiveness. That's what it all comes down to. See, if you don't forgive yourself, if you're operating under shame, you are still a pawn. You can still be used, manipulated through shame. That is the number one tool of the underneath. That's Pluto stuff. When we don't have shame, we're living out loud. There's nothing to hide. We're not controllable. You ain't got nothing on us. So I've had a few people over the years that, threaten to expose me. Or, you get those emails that are in, broken language that are random, and they'll say things like, I caught you doing things that you shouldn't be doing, and unless you send me a bunch of money, I'm going to expose these pictures. My thought is, you know what? Expose away. What are you going to get? Some bitchy conversations with friends? What are you going to get? Stuff that comes out and makes me more relatable to other people? There's nothing to fear when you're honest. Yeah, you could be embarrassed because we all have a personal life and we deserve to have a personal life. That's not fake. Saturn is teaching us this in Aries, that we can have a professional persona. And in fact, we should. But that doesn't translate to being something other than you are. It's just a different side of yourself that's more streamlined, effective, and sometimes rational. But Saturn in Aries is showing us that we have all kinds of facets of ourselves. We have the personal facet of ourselves that you see in personal life. I mean, my family knows me differently than you guys do. They see the raucous, crazy, frenetic side of me. I don't show up here on camera and give you the worst of me. None of us do that. It doesn't mean you aren't real. It just means that you're multifaceted and that you're self-aware enough to not puke all different facets of yourself up all the time in all situations to prove how authentic and real you are. That's actually hypervigilance. When we get into that, when we're very too caught up in, what is the word? It's escaping me. It's proof. It's a better word than that, but that's all I can come up with. Proving ourselves. When we're in that hypervigilant state, we don't want to be seen in any certain way. We certainly don't want to be seen as incompetent. But we have to be honest that there's You know, we're multidimensional beings. And we shouldn't be ashamed of who we are in our private lives unless we should be ashamed of who we are in our private lives. Not showing up in life the way that you would not show up in the workplace, that is not fake. It's a different yet real expression of yourself. And we need to give ourselves that permission to be multidimensional beings. You know, to have this one friend that sees the worst of us because they know that they can handle it. This other friend, they only see the best of us because that's what the alchemy is between the two of us. But you have to know. You have to know all of the facets of yourself. Different people bring out different things. That's it, Vinay. We have different personas for different situations. Yeah. Sometimes we're real as hell. Sometimes we're at the grocery store and we're just our polite persona. None of that is deep fake. It's different facets of ourselves. And sometimes we can feel ashamed of that. We don't really understand what realness is. You can be real in any situation with any persona as long as you're telling the truth about what's going on with you and what you really want, what you're really feeling. There's no situation where you can't keep out the evil. You just keep it out by not performing for it. Yeah, EL, very good point. Astrology does help us figure out these different faces and facets and sides of ourselves. It's one of the best uses of it. And to show us when the hard times are going to end. Oh, it's one of the best things about astrology. You can put it on the calendar. Oh, it's going to get better after this. Or it'll show us the lesson that we need to work on. So we're not just, you know, sorting through it blindly. But it's a big deal this month. And this is when we really decide. You gonna take the easy way out? Or are you gonna do the hard work and really look at what your particular contribution is? I did a lot of crying yesterday because I was sitting and just thinking about all the horrible things I've done in my life. Some, I mean, I really hurt people sometimes. And there are some things that there is no way to apologize or make up. So I do what I can in the world to pay it forward because I can't pay it backwards. All of us have things that we've been learning through. And if any of us prop ourselves up there like we have done the learning, we don't know ourselves very well. So self-forgiveness is everything. Because when you don't forgive yourself, that's when you can be a tool of something external. Because you feel like you still have to pay. And someone will tell you that you should pay, and you'll believe it. And sometimes we just have to say, you know, I paid that piper. I wish I could pay more. I wish I could do it differently. But I'm accepting the reality. And the reality means I have to work hard from now on instead of work retroactively. I have to work forwardly. That means we have to remember what we did. We remember it. We know it. We've named it. Because we remember it, we don't do it again. When we forget, when we suppress it, when we excuse it, that's when we do it again. It's such a paradox. Knowing it's there will keep you from engaging in it. But if you know it's there, you have to forgive yourself. If you don't forgive yourself, you'll probably engage in it. Oh, the paradoxes of life. We will be seeing the nature of paradox as we see what's real, because we're having disclosure come through in many, many levels of life. A lot of the things we thought weren't real, the things we thought were real, over 2026 and particularly in 2027. We're going to find out. And it can only happen now because we can handle it. It couldn't happen before. But this is the new enlightenment. Every time Neptune comes into Aries, we have a type of enlightenment. And it's a wild ass time when it happens. The last time Neptune was in Aries, I mean, people were doing crazy shit. They were like, I'm not going to go into it. It's too weird. Lots of stuff. I'll write about it on Substack or do a video about it. It is it's a wild ride when we have these descents of a new type of Jerusalem, descent of a new type of collective belief system, collective new religion. We're coming out of the religion of the self. And coming into the religion of being patriated with our heart and our soul and that internal guided system that will make you feel sick if you expose yourself to something that isn't written on your heart. And we have to pay attention to that, to pay attention to why we feel sick all the time. Why do we feel beleaguered? We have a sick society. It's been a sick world. And so things have been subverted for many, many, well, not even years, centuries. And we are coming into a repatriation with our heart. And this has got the elites extremely nervous because they've always had us right where they want us. And right now they want us to think that authenticity is a sham. Watch for those videos popping up. The authenticity movement, the honesty movement. No, that's all just bad. That's just what the powers that be want you to believe is a thing. That kind of stuff isn't even real. And they're back there knowing it's all real. What they've told us people, they use energetics. They know this stuff is real, but they tell us it's not. Only religion is real. The religion that they curated for their purposes. And the fact that we're not producing a lot of cannon fodder anymore is a problem. So we take our power back by empowering ourselves to know it's real through healing. You can't know it's real if you're not healed. You can't know. If you're in trauma, if you are in suffering, if you haven't dealt with your shame issues, you cannot know what's real. It messes with your attachment system and with your ability to discern, because we will be caught up in hypervigilance, proving. We are gullible. We're trying to avoid being consumed with shame. And it ends up with us being consumed in shame. So you have to be willing to face rejection. And you have to be willing to keep out those or things that you desire, but you know they are not good for you. It would feel real good. It could feel real good for a little while. But you know they're not good for you. Even if you want them. Even if you want it. We're working through our addictions. We can be addicted to people, substances, activities, patterns of thought. We're only as sick as our secrets. So if you're honest, you never have to be afraid. You never have to look back. You never have to cover your tracks. But you do have to be able to deal with being alone. And you have to be able to deal with rejection to reach that level of sovereignty. This new moon solar eclipse on the 17th, I just can't say enough about it. It's going to be a surge in the heart space collectively. A massive breakthrough, because Uranus always wins. We have to go through breakdown before we go through breakthrough. It's always the pattern with that dude. And it's going to clear the field. And that doesn't mean that we won't bring forward things that we're working. It's what we're identifying. We're sifting through what was working. What do we want to bring forward? What was the good bones here? And then what do we need to add or subtract or change? So 14 years of Neptune in Aries. 14 years of tension. Things do start to even out. I do see some grounding changes at around 2032. But we have got about 7 years of a shit show to plow through. And I know that you don't want to know that. I know that people don't want to hear that. When they want to turn into channels where we're going to wake up and ride the divine feminine unicorn next week, right? No, we're not doing that. We're going to be working hard on ourselves. It's the best work to do. If you're working hard on somebody else, that means you are trying to stay in power. You're not focused on your own power. CT, I just opened Substack last night, so you might be able to find me over there. Probably not yet. I'm going to populate it today and then put a lot of books on tape and entire course modules onto Substack, so I can really He's spiraling really deep in that particular place. So I will announce that when it's actually got stuff there that is interesting. We all need to take a lot of salt baths. That's healing. We need to take walks. We need to hold hands. Dry brushing is helpful. Think chironic things. Non-traditional, not after allopathic healing. We're talking about chiron. Or after the weird stuff that may not work for anybody else, but it works for you. Things that allow our nervous system to recalibrate. Yeah, Vinay, a lot of us around our age. We've got El Chiron in Aries, and we're just coming into our wholeness. It takes till you're about 50. That's why we have the Chiron return at around 50 years old. We're about 50 before we really get it together as humans. It can take that long. But Earth School is a school for healing and clearing. This is the hardest school. Of all the school universities, the planetary universities, this is the hardest one. Earth School, it's short, it's dense, it's hard, but you get a lot out of it in a really short amount of time. And we're here because we can handle it. Earth is not a punishment. It's a clearing. There's so many of us that won't be coming back. We won't need to be coming back to Earth School. In fact, Earth School is changing. It's not going to be kindergarten anymore. As we heal and clear, Earth becomes an Eden. It's not going to happen in a few weeks. It's going to take years because we are shifting generational programming. Joel, Saturn's opposing your Venus. The moon at 28 in Virgo. When it enters with the opposition still be active. No, you're out of the woods. You and me too. I got sun and moon at 28 and 29. Yeah, you and me are both. And Vinay in the no more Saturn-Neptune transits club. Yeah, thanks. I've had enough. I didn't expect that, you know. I didn't expect all that business. And if somebody would have asked me if I wanted to go through it, if I wanted to have an actual like righteous Kundalini awakening, if I knew everything that was involved, I would have said no. Hell no. I want to enjoy my life. I would have said yes. I mean, I've always said yes because I didn't really get it. I didn't know it was going to be that bad. And I'm not far enough away from it to say I would choose it again. I might not. It's like childbirth, you know? After you have a baby and you've experienced so much pain, you're like, I ain't never doing that again. But some time goes by and you realize what you got out of it. You're like, yeah. I don't want to do it again, but I think I will. I'll get there eventually, but I'm still recovering. Awakening is not easy. And we've been told it is, you know. Rub some crystals together. Take some mushrooms. You're in the awakening club. No, not until you've absolutely suffered and torn your own skin off. That's what's required. But your suffering is not sacred. That's why we don't have to keep doing it. It's a movement. You ever noticed that emotion is a movement? It's an activity. When you don't have that movement, you're not moved, you don't feel it arising, moving. It's because it's not happening. You're not stirred. We have a vast movement of healing at this time. And the earth is groaning underneath us. Because it's done. The earth is done. It's a patient spirit. All of the planets have a spirit. But the earth is done. And when we're done, we go into a different movement. Still graceful, beautiful. She'll always hold us close. So when we're spinning, we need to ground. We need to get back in touch with what's real. Take off your shoes. Walk barefoot. Lay on the ground. Lay on rocks. Lay on grass. Lay on the dirt. Just get down low and hug it. Because that's why she's always holding us. She holds us to her. Because we're children. And as we grow and we realize our power, we open our eyes, we become co-creators. We become the lover of the earth. But you gotta love your mother to get there. We're falling in love with ourselves again as we heal. We're having the two polarities that have been at war. I have to yell, just a moment. Girls, mommy's just about to deliver some wisdom. It's our humility, our humanity that will define us. Not our closed eyes of a child. Those are the old definitions. It's our humanity, our maturity, our self-respect and our self-control and our choices that define us. It is what you do. Because we can have all kinds of different thoughts. We can have intentions, goals. But we're defined by what we do. not what we believe, by what we do. So the proof of you is in your pudding. We all have a different variety. I never liked tapioca. It's weird. I think I'm probably chocolate. Yeah, but you got to figure that your own chosen variety of pudding, ain't going to be somebody else's preference. But I want tapioca in my life. I just don't want to be it. So variety is something that we become more comfortable with in the age of Aquarius. So we realize that it's all kind of different puddings that have just as much proof. And so our blinders related to prejudice, separation, a lot of that's going to heal. And we treat each other differently because we treat ourselves differently. That's what it has to start with. How you treat yourself shows how you treat others. How you treat others shows how you treat yourself. If you don't let anything in that isn't a resonant match, it isn't obviously honest, respectful, good, and true. We just never have anything. This isn't a resonant match. And if it shows up, we're like, don't have to feel bad about that. You don't have to feel bad about separating yourself from what's negative. We don't even have to explain ourselves. You can be mysterious about it. Part of the explaining, over-explaining, that's trauma. That's part of proving. But when you have real confidence and you're really seated in your own knowing, yeah, you're happy. With just leaving things to mystery. You don't have to fill it out. Let other people fill in the gaps. They'll fill them in with typically their own projections. And you're going to let them do that. Because that's part of not controlling external things. People get to see you in whichever way they're going to see you. They get to. And they get to do whatever they're going to do. And then you'll just decide afterwards. But you're not going to keep them from doing it. Because then you can't see who they really are. So think about what you want to be. What do you want to be? Because we have those opportunities coming in here where we take off the false mask. We get to decide. Choice. All right, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to go over to the subscriber group here on YouTube and spend some time with the inner circle. And I will announce my Substack business. I just had that idea yesterday. Somebody gave me that idea. So the timing was right. So I'll populate that and let you guys know. That'll be a way that we can meet. It's probably going to be a subscriber tier because that will enable me to justify spending a lot of time on that. But I'll let you know, keep you updated. Thank you so much, Joelle. I really appreciate your donation. A lot of you have got this eclipse. Oh, yeah, all over your charts. Look at all these comments. What a shocker. All right, guys, it was good to see you. I will check in with you sooner than later and see you around town.